So this is the use of why we use the data types. I'll explain at the high level. Okay, I'll explain you two or three scenarios. The same. That's I'll explain you why do we need the use of the data. Like, what is the necessity of using the data types? Okay, let's say I have a table. Okay, or else something. Yeah, I have a table. Table will have like it will have the ID. It will have the date of birth. Date of birth. Okay, table will have the ID and date of birth. Let's say ID 101. What is the date of birth? Is the 2014 0506 something. 2000 or else I'll write 2014 0101. Okay, 2014 11. That is the date of birth. So here, if someone comes and doesn't know the date format, he might enter the date in a different format. He might assume that first is a month, second is a date, and third is a year. If we have the data stored in different ways, someone say 2014 Jan 1st. Okay, if they enter the data in a different way, because all the columns you have reflect the same type, right? Here it is showing the 2014, right? 1 1. Here it is showing in a different way, month, date, and year. It is showing in the varchar way, like you have the year, then you will have the Jan in characters, and then you will have 1. Every whatever the value in the column is correct, but it's not in the standard way. Standard way in the sense, everything, like if everyone is going to use their own way, like, oh, so what is the standard there? There's nothing. It's very hard to, like, if you want to find certain information, no one knows like exactly what, you will not be getting the required information that you want. If we have everything in the standard way, then it will be easy for you to get the information. It will be easy for you to pull the required information that you want from a table. Okay, that's the reason everyone wants, because see, I don't have this in a standard way. Okay, how can I get year from all the tables? I can't get, because let's say I assume the first four characters as a year. No, here it is okay. If here it is okay, but second one, no, you can't get it. Third one, it is okay. So you are missing the second record. You will get year as 1-1. It is wrong. If I want to get month, here actually 2014 0, here the month is 1. Other one might write the month is 1. You don't know. You have no idea where which is a month, which is a year. So that's the reason you'll always make certain standards saying that this ID, this is the date of birth. I want it in the date format. Always it will start with the year, month, date, and after that hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. Okay, this is the way I want to have the date. So if you give some format, automatically whoever inserts, you have to insert the data in the same format. If it if it tries to give some other format, it will throw an error saying that you are not following the format, so your value is not inserted into the table. That is one scenario. Second scenario, okay, let's say I have some example. I'm saying I have given the size of a table like 100 characters. Okay, I have given the size of table as 100 characters. Now what happens? I might store only one character. What about the 99 characters? You are unusing the space. This space has been not being used by you. So what needs to happen? Whichever the space you are not using, it should be used by others. So in order to do that, you will give a data type such a way that if you are assigned some space, if that space has not been utilized, only if part of the space has been used by someone, then next the unused space should go to the others who wants the space. Okay, and are you able to get my second scenario, this one? Now the third scenario. Okay, and so let's take, this is real time scenario. You know that I have a box. Okay, this box dimension is of 10 meters into 10 meters. Assume that it's a 10 meters into 10 meters. I have one more box which has dimensions of 100 into 100. Okay, now what is my scenario is that I'm having boxes. I'm having some structure. I'm having some structures where I want to store it in the boxes. Okay. So the structures I have is that I have one structure of 10 into 10 and I am having other structure of 50 into 50, 50 into 50. Now see, in order to store this all three, I can show it. I will store 100 into 100. I'll store 110 into 10 in this one. Then after that you got space left as 90. In that 90 you can fit only 50. And then next you can't fit this 50. So you'll try to fit it here. You can't fit it. The effective way you can do is that store 100 in this. Then you have 50 into 50, 250 into 50 materials. Then you can store the 250 materials here. So here it is nothing but you need to store the way like where whatever the space you need to create. If you want to store something, create a space accordingly to accumulate only that stuff. Let's say if you want to store some box of 10 into 10, there is no use of creating a box of 1000 into 1000 size, right? It is waste. Even though it's creating, it's not an, you can still store this 10 into 10 in 1000 into 1000 box, but rest other space is being wasted. Other space is being wasted. Like that, the same way the data warehouse works. Okay, the same way data warehouse also works. So if you want to create any data types, you need to create in such a way that it should be effective and there should be no loss of space, and you can provide all the constraints, whatever stuff you want. So everyone is clear with this? Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to show the different types of data types in the SQL Server. In the SQL Server, there are different types of data types. The first one I say is that integer, or not, I'll not say integer, I'll call it as numeric. Okay, which stores the values of integer, which stores the values of float and numeric decimals. Float and decimals both are same. I'll say some values with the integer and float. Okay, only high level description. Next, you'll have some data types with the characters. If you want to store some character data type, then you'll use this data type. So it is a kind of character, varchar, text. These are the some examples of the character data types. Okay. Then next, you might have some data types for the date time. If you want to store some date related stuff, then you will give the data type as date. There are different types. You have the date, date time, and date time 2, something like that. Okay, you have the different data types for the date times, and these are the major parts that you are going to use in end-to-end process. Whenever if you want to write some process, at least one you will be using from this by default. Okay. Next, after this is only the data types, right? You have something called miscellaneous, or you will be calling it as others. Others is nothing but, okay, you'll have the binary data types, like to store the 0 and 1s. Apart from that, you will have some data types called varchar binary, okay, or var binary. Okay, you will call it as, you also some other data types called XML. Okay, there are different types of data types that you will be having apart others, but these are very rarely used. Rarely means you will be using your day-to-day scenario, but very less when compared to all the above 3 data types. Okay, so now what I'm going to show is that I'm going to explain some few data types. That's it. I'm not going to explain in detail. Here I'll go one by one. I'll go with the numeric, and I'll explain you with the example also. Oh, sorry. Already I have window here, so I should have done here. So basically I have the data type called numeric. Numeric is nothing but if you want to store some numbers, then you will use a data type called numeric. You can store numbers in different ways. You can store one. You can store the same one as with 2 decimals. You can store the same one as 3 decimals. Anything you can do. You can store the one in different way. Okay. The way is nothing but it's a format where you will be storing one, replying the one in different formats where everything has the same like value. 1 is same, 1.00 is same, 1.000 is also same. But here the number of decimals and the way it looks and the format is totally different. By at the end the value is same but the format is different. Okay. So generally what we do for all these types of data types, okay, they are in the numeric. The data types are categorized into different types: small int, integer, tiny int, big int, float, numeric, decimal, okay, so on. But these are the most of the part you will be using. So now what I'll do, I'll explain about each and everything. As I said, you're going to give the size of the database in effective way so that less space will be used. Okay, so every data has its own limitations. Whatever the data you are using, it has its own limitations. The first one is that tiny int is the lowest one you can use, because this tiny int stores the data from 0 to 255. Okay, tiny int stores the data from 0 to 255. And if you want to store in a column some values ranging from 0 to 255, then you can use a data type called tiny int. If you want to store more values, okay, and tiny int will not store negative values, it will only store the positive values. If you want to store something negative values, okay, then whichever is greater than tiny int, all stuff will store the negative value. That is small int. Okay, small int also stores the value. Now, and the small int stores the value more. So it stores around like, unlike the tiny int, it stores like, I think it stores like 64,000 values. In that, it will split minus 32,000 to plus 32,000. Okay. If I want to see that like exact value range for each one stuff, if I want to see exact value range for each stuff, so tiny int occupies 1 byte, 1 byte of size. Small int occupies 2 bytes of size for storing. Now 1 byte is nothing but 1 byte is equal to 8 bits. So you count as 2 power 8. 2 power 8, that's it. So when I do 2 power 8, 2 power is nothing but 2 into 2 into 2. So you'll multiply 2 into 2 8 times. 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay. So now 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 64, 128, 256. So 0 to 255. Including 0, you will have 255. So it is nothing but you have the 266 values, right? That's it. If you go with the small int is nothing but 2 byte. 2 byte means 2 power 16. For each byte it is 8. 2 byte means 2 power 16. So just multiply 256 into the other stuff. So what I'll just have the calculator. Yeah, is hiding here. So I'll have the 256 into 2. It is a 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 6556. If I do by 2, then 3 to 768. So you will have the data ranging from 3 to 768. Okay. So means why I did by half means half of the data will be there on the negative side, half of the data will be there on the positive side. So the data it stores is that from minus 32768 32768 2, because you will have the 0 in between, you will count the 0, so it becomes 32767. 2 plus 2 2 oh sorry 7 plus 2 plus 32767. This is where it stores. So always the size will be 2 bytes. By default the system will give the size as 2 bytes. Even though if you use or not, no, the value will be allocated as a 2 bytes as it is. This is the case of the integers. So everyone got this point? Okay, the same way with the other stuff. This is the integer, and next you will have the varchar type also. Sorry, this is a small int. You will have the integer, big int, float. Okay, float is nothing but float, and numeric is nothing but you will have the decimals to that, like 1.23, 1.45 or something. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'll create a table. I'll create a table later on with all the different types of data types. So now we are okay with the numeric data types. So now I'm going to explain the character data types. In the character data types, nothing but whenever you want to store some characters like names, some descriptions, some address, some comments into the table, then you will use a data type called character. So basically at the beginning, when the database and server came, and even the Java and you can see old programming languages that were introduced before in 1990s, and that's then they add the data type called character and nchar. Okay, character will occupy 1 byte, nchar will occupy 2 byte. Okay, why it occupies, I'll say you. So character is nothing but it will store whatever the character is stored, it will store as a 1 byte. What is nchar? Nchar is nothing but, let's say nchar is non-Unicode. Always n refers non-Unicode. Here n character means non-Unicode characters. Is nothing but system will have some names or some alphabets where system can understand. When you give that alphabet, system will, since system knows that alphabet, it says that okay, I know this alphabet, and it will insert the value. Let's say you got some red character, like different character, the system cannot understand. So what system will do? It cannot convert that character because it doesn't have any difference. It doesn't have any reference for that character to convert. Then what system does? It will just store the character as it is, but it will use a double the size. Okay, let's say I want to store the value a. Okay, what I can do is that value, this is a value a. What I'll be doing is that if I store, I give 2 columns. I'll give 2 columns. One is the column 1 with the character. Next I'll give column 2 with the nchar. Okay, then if I store same value in both the columns, here it will take 1 byte, here it will take 2 bytes. Even though it is same value, but the storage is different because here it is storing it as a non-Unicode, so it will occupy double the space. It's storing as a Unicode. When it stores as Unicode, it will use as a 1 character. So here also in this scenario also, if you don't see any data which has a Unicode, then it's better to store in the character only because it will use half of the space when compared to the nchar. Okay, then you got the varchar and nvarchar. Difference between varchar and nvarchar, the same. Whatever difference you have between the character and nchar, the same thing with the varchar also. It also stores the character, same functionality. it stores the characters. Varchar stores the characters by using 1 byte. Invarchar also stores the characters. Whatever the character you give, it will store in the double space than the varchar. If the varchar uses 1 byte for storing one character, invarchar uses 2 bytes for storing the same character. But what is the difference? And this one came like at the beginning, the people as the character in char, but now they are using the varchar and invarchar. So what is the difference? Let's say you have some column. I'm going to differentiate only on the character. I got like 10, size as 10. You got the varchar, size as 10. Okay. Now, in the character, you have stored only one value, that is A. In the varchar, you stored only one value, that is A. Okay. Now, let's say I got on the database, on the total size I am having is at 90 bytes. Total size I am having is at 90 bytes. But here, since character, I have used 10 bytes. So what happens? 90 minus 10. So your rest over is 80 bytes. You have 80 bytes unused space now. 80 bytes unused. Okay. Now let's go use one more database, where one more different location where you are having 90 bytes as a space. Okay. And the varchar you are using 10 bytes. Then even though if it's 10 bytes here, but you have stored only one character. Remaining 9 is not used. Since 9 is not used, now the remaining space is 89 bytes. Okay.